Imagine a time when bread lines stretched around city blocks, when banks crumbled, and unemployment soared to 25%. Our journey begins in the year 1929, a period marked by the onset of the Great Depression, an economic calamity like no other. The world watched in disbelief as the stock market, once the symbol of American prosperity, came crashing down. The day is still etched in memories as Black Tuesday. It was not just a crash, it was a freefall. People who once dreamed of fortunes woke up to a nightmare of empty pockets. But the stock market crash was just the beginning. A domino effect ensued, leading to widespread bank failures. Confidence in financial institutions dwindled, triggering a rush of people scrambling to withdraw their savings. The banks, ill-prepared for such a mass exodus of capital, collapsed under the pressure. Money, once plentiful, now became a scarce resource. The fallout of these financial disasters was felt directly by the common man. Unemployment rates skyrocketed. 1 in 4 Americans found themselves without a job, their livelihoods stripped away. The bustling cities and industrious factories fell ominously silent. The once vibrant streets were now lined with the desperate faces of the unemployed, waiting in long bread lines for a single meal. But the Great Depression was not contained within the borders of the United States. Like a tidal wave, it swept across the globe, leaving no economy untouched. Countries miles away felt the aftershocks. The world was interconnected in its despair, bound together by a shared economic crisis. This was not just a period of economic decline, it was a time of hardship, of struggle, of survival. It was a time when the very fabric of society was tested, when the resilience of the human spirit was pushed to its limits. This was the reality of the Great Depression, a dark period in global history that shook the very foundations of economic stability. The Great Depression was not just an American tragedy, it sent shockwaves around the globe. Imagine the world's economies as a network of tightly wound strings. When one string vibrates, the others do too. That's precisely what happened during the Great Depression. The economic tremors that began in America did not remain confined within its borders. They reverberated worldwide, shaking the foundations of economies across continents. Let's take a closer look at Germany, for instance. Already grappling with the reparations of the First World War, the German economy was particularly vulnerable. When the American loans that were propping it up suddenly dried up, the country was plunged into a severe economic crisis. Unemployment soared, and the economic instability paved the way for political upheaval. France, on the other hand, was able to resist the initial shocks better due to its more self-sufficient economy. However, by the mid-30s, the French economy too was feeling the pinch. Industrial production slumped, and the country was soon in the grips of the Great Depression. Across the English Channel, the United Kingdom was also reeling. Trade, the lifeblood of the British economy, was severely affected. The collapse of the gold standard, which tied currencies to the value of gold, further exacerbated the situation. As countries abandoned the gold standard in a bid to revive their economies, the pound sterling lost its status as the world's dominant currency. And it wasn't just Europe. From the vast expanse of Russia to the islands of Japan, economies tumbled like a row of dominoes. Global trade contracted sharply. Countries erected trade barriers in a futile attempt to protect their economies, but these measures only served to intensify the downturn. In essence, the Great Depression was a global catastrophe that left no region untouched. It was a stark reminder of how interconnected the world's economies were, and still are. The economic policies and decisions of one nation could have far-reaching implications, affecting lives thousands of miles away. From Europe to Asia, no corner of the world was safe from the economic turmoil sparked by the Great Depression. In the face of such widespread economic disaster, governments worldwide scrambled to find solutions. The strategies varied from country to country, but a common thread was the realization that government intervention was essential to stabilize the economy and protect the citizens. In the United States, this intervention came in the form of the New Deal, a series of programs, public work projects, financial reforms, and regulations enacted by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The New Deal was unprecedented, marking a significant expansion of the federal government's role in the economy. It introduced Social Security, unemployment insurance, and protections for labor, providing a safety net for American workers that hadn't existed before. Across the Atlantic, the United Kingdom responded to the Great Depression by implementing protective policies such as tariffs, import quotas, and subsidies for domestic industries. The British government also took control of key industries, including coal, electricity, and steel, marking a shift towards a more centralized economy. Meanwhile, in Germany, the government under Chancellor Heinrich Brüning implemented a policy of deflation and budget balancing, which, unfortunately, deepened the depression in the country. However, it was the subsequent government under Adolf Hitler that introduced more direct interventionist measures, including public works programs similar to those of the New Deal. In Australia, the government responded to the crisis by implementing a series of economic policies known as the Premier's Plan. This plan included measures to reduce government spending, increase taxes, and devalue the Australian pound, all in an attempt to balance the budget and stabilize the economy. These measures, while not immediately successful, laid the groundwork for modern economic policies and practices. They represented a shift in understanding about the role of government in managing economic crises and protecting the well-being of its citizens. It was a new world order, one in which the government had a more active role in the economy, a legacy that carries on to this day. The Great Depression, while a time of extreme hardship, eventually came to an end, but its impact was deeply felt for decades to come. As the 1930s wore on, the world found itself on the brink of another major global event, World War II. The war effort ironically played a significant role in ending the Great Depression. With armies to equip and supply, factories that had been idle for years suddenly roared back to life, creating jobs and stimulating economic growth. Yet, the end of the Great Depression was not merely about the return of prosperity. It fundamentally changed the way economies operated and how governments interacted with them. Governments around the world, particularly in the United States, took on a more active role in managing their economies. They set up regulatory bodies, established social safety nets, and introduced economic policies aimed at preventing such a catastrophic economic downturn from happening again. The Federal Reserve, for instance, underwent significant changes in the wake of the Great Depression. Its role in managing the money supply and acting as a lender of last resort was solidified. The Securities and Exchange Commission was established to regulate the stock market and prevent fraudulent activities. These changes marked a shift in economic policy, moving away from laissez-faire capitalism towards a more managed form of economy. The Great Depression also left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of societies. It instilled a deep appreciation for financial stability and underscored the importance of prudent financial management, both at the individual and national level. Even today, the lessons learned from the Great Depression continue to guide economic policies and financial decisions. The scars of the Great Depression have healed over time, but the lessons it taught us remain relevant. It reshaped the world in profound ways, changing the course of history and leaving an enduring legacy that continues to shape our economic landscape. The Great Depression, though long past, still influences our world today, reminding us of the importance of economic stability and the role of government in ensuring it. The Great Depression marked a significant turning point in global economic history. It wasn't just an economic downturn, it was a seismic shift that rattled the world's economic structures to their very core. In the late 20s and early 30s, the world was plunged into a period of profound economic despair. The global economy was in shambles, and the lives of countless individuals were affected. This crisis was not confined to the United States alone. The Great Depression had an international impact that was far-reaching and consequential. Countries worldwide felt the ripple effects of the economic disaster that began on Wall Street. It was a time when global interconnectedness was revealed in stark terms. The world's governments were not passive observers during this time. They were forced to respond, to take action. In many countries, this meant implementing new economic policies and social programs in an effort to alleviate the suffering caused by the economic downturn. These responses were varied and often controversial, but they all sought to address the pressing issues of the day. The end of the Great Depression did not simply mean a return to economic stability. Its effects were long-lasting and transformative. It changed the way we thought about economics and the role of government in society. It led to the establishment of new economic theories, policies, and institutions that continue to shape our world today. The Great Depression was more than a period of economic hardship. It was a time of change, of adaptation, and of innovation. It was a time when the world was forced to rethink its economic strategies and priorities. It was a time when the world had to grapple with the complexities and challenges of a global economy. As we look back on the Great Depression, we see not just a time of despair, but a pivotal moment that reshaped our understanding of economics and government responsibility. It is a reminder of the power of economic forces, the importance of sound economic policy, and the role of government in ensuring economic stability and prosperity. And it is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of economies and societies in the face of adversity. That's a wrap for today, folks. If you enjoyed, tap that like button. Don't miss out on the fun. Subscribe to stay tuned. The excitement is just beginning.